Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Rise of the Phoenix, and in this video I'm going to share my experience so far on the differences between Seasons 1 and Season 2 in Rise to War. Hopefully by the end of this video, you'll be better prepared to tackle Season 2 and stay ahead of your competition. But first, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing to my channel and liking this video. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get right into it. The main, primary, most important difference that I have noticed so far between Season 2 and Season 1 is that in Season 2, there are so many more active players. At least that's the case on my server so far. That one fact kind of underscores the three major differences that I'm going to talk about in this video. The first difference being the relative lack of resources. Right now it probably doesn't look like it because I have tons of resources up here in my storage, but a big part of that is I just went ahead and played the market for the day, and I also have resource boosts going from those daily resource boosts. But if we take a look around my base real quick, this is the third or fourth time I've relocated. We have somebody here. That's my wife, actually, so I invited her down here. Happy to have her there. She doesn't steal my tiles. I help her take some tiles. But all these other tiles down here, you know, you have this guy here. You have people just all over the place. And if we look at the map, I'm Angmar. This is Minhiriath. You know, I started all the way up here, and yet I relocate basically across the map, or pretty darn far across the map, and just every single valuable tile in sight, for the most part, is eaten up. The larger number of active players in each faction means there's a lot more competition for tiles. Additionally, they did buff tile defenders. They are a little bit more difficult in Season 2. I haven't noticed like any super crazy major differences yet, although I have felt that I've been losing a little bit more troops than normal once I started hitting 200s and even 150s. So that also makes you bleed more, you lose more troops, and then you have to use even more resources on recruiting extra troops to make up for the troops that you were losing. And then, to top it all off, the Red Book of Westmarch does not reset. Luckily, this is a relatively new account for me. I did not do any of the Red Book on this account during Season 1 because I heard that it does not reset, which means I've been able to actually take advantage of getting all of these free resources from doing these chapters. I would highly advise you that if you have not completed the Red Book yet, and you're towards the end of Season 1, you should save the Red Book chapters so you can get a little bit of extra resources. Some of these later chapters actually give quite a lot of resources. I think I can do this one pretty soon, an hour and a half, so I'll probably do that tonight before I go to bed, just to top off on my resources. And I actually, I changed this earlier today and I completely messed up. I was trying to change my ring for mock battling. That's kind of a side note. I meant to put 10 points back in Levy, because if you go watch my early game ring build video for Season 2, I did the math and I found out that Levy is actually phenomenal, and I would definitely advise everybody to take this skill in Season 2 to help in the early game with resources. Go check out my early game Season 2 ring build video if you want to see the breakdown of why this skill is so freaking good. I went into all of the math, comparing Levy to other resource options. Difference number 2 is how rapidly everybody expands. We are just about to hit the 2-week mark. We're 1 day, a little bit more than 24 hours really, 1 day shy of the 2-week mark on this server. And as you can see on this world map, almost every single neutral territory has been captured. There are a couple outliers, some of these stronger ones like Moria and Gundabad, but these are actually capturable at this point in the server. While Florian captured Central Mirkwood already, that's a 1,000 power equivalent to these guys over here. And so the fact that everybody is expanding way more rapidly means you're going to get into PvP way sooner. And so you really need to put an important amount of focus, a lot of focus on choosing which commanders you're going to want to level up early on. One mistake that I made is I invested a lot into Gorbag. I haven't touched him actually in a day or two, and yet he's still tied for my highest level commander. I say this is a mistake for me because I'm playing Angmar and I'm planning on focusing on evil men because Fallen are evil men. And Gorbag, I mean, he's a great commander, don't get me wrong. However, he really only works well with orcs, and Fallen aren't orcs, so I've kind of diverted my attention away from Gorbag for now to focus on some other guys that I believe will work better with Fallen and cavalry, non-orc cavalry in general. So make sure that you know which commanders you're going to be using, and make sure that they're actually like quite strong in PvP, because you're going to be PvPing a lot earlier than normal than in other seasons. Which gets me to the difference number 3. We'll go back to our beautiful world map here and look at how many battle markers are on this bad boy. Like I said, we are about 24 hours shy of week number 2, and already we are in a massive world war on this server. We have 3 dead factions over here. They're not really doing anything. All the players, or pretty much all the players, transferred out into other factions. But we have a war of Angmar against Gondor. This thing, even a few days ago when I recorded the PvP video, was right at about 1 million deaths. This is another new marker that's hitting 1.2 million deaths. Lothlorien is fighting Rohan over here, almost 1 million deaths there. Erebor is also fighting Rohan as well as Mordor over here, as you can see. I believe like yesterday or the day before, there was another marker here that I swear was right around 1 million, or pretty close to 1 million. I mean, you can see this might not be great for the video because there's just so many freaking forts here, but like, look at this. Look at how many players are involved in these fights. Everywhere you go on these battlefronts is just fort spam everywhere. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. I feel like, you know, it might be worth limiting how many forts can be in one area or something, but that'd probably screw things up because then people wouldn't be able to support their friends and their allies and all of that. So the wars in Season 2 so far have been absolutely massive. Tons and tons of active players involved in them, and you need to prepare yourself mentally for that, because with so many more active players involved, you're going to have to try and be a lot more careful as far as taking fights, because you still only have the same amount of barrack space. Oh my goodness, when did this happen? This is kind of a good background, I guess. We've been pushing for this crossing for a while now. Apparently we just took it while I'm recording the video, so you can watch a little bit of PvP while I talk about these huge wars. Anyway, what I was saying is, you still only have the same amount of barrack space as you did in Season 1, except now there are way more players involved, which means your army can get attacked way more often and will have to be fighting way more often because there's way more enemy armies running around. Makes sense. So you need to mentally prepare yourself for the fact that you're not going to be able to fight 24/7, and that's okay. Even if your barracks is low, you can still really impact battles by flipping tiles, so just like capturing red tiles for your faction so that you can actually reach places, like for example this crossing. Just capturing empty tiles will also force the enemy to have to attack them to get to you, and when they attack your tile, you get a battle report, which is going to let you see what commander they're using, what troops they have, that sort of thing. So don't feel disheartened if you run headfirst into a battle and then all of a sudden, like 30 minutes later, 1 hour later maybe, you're out of troops, your barracks is low, and you need to go home and rest for the day. That's totally fine. I've been experiencing it myself. I know a lot of people in my faction have been experiencing it as well. Just do what you can with your benchwarmer commanders, build roads, take tiles, bounce armies, you know, still help out as much as you can. But yeah, your barracks, in my experience so far, is definitely not going to last as long as it did in Season 1. Overall, Season 2 is a lot faster paced, and it's a lot more competitive, which I find to be extremely fun, although sometimes it can be frustrating, especially when you're fighting against your own faction who is sniping tiles from you. You need to enter Season 2 with a clear plan in place of which commanders you're going to be using to expand with, which commanders you want to use in PvP, which units you want to invest in for the early game because resources are more scarce, which means you won't have as many extra resources to side tech for your alternate unit trees. So you really want to plan out which ones you're going to be using. And you want to have a good ring skill build planned out for you so that you don't have to spend time, not getting as many resources as you could potentially be getting, because that will all really add up over time. And super duper important, this is also important for Season 1 for any of you guys that are still in Season 1. If you don't already have a large warband or fellowship to play with, you need to find a new home quickly. And if it looks like your faction's going to be dead on arrival, you need to go ahead and leave that faction really early in the season because the server progression goes by a lot faster, so it seems. I'm pretty sure that's somewhat of a well-established fact in my experience so far. And after this Season 6 goal is complete, faction transfers in Season 2 are locked, which means already nobody can transfer factions on the server, and we unlocked this one days and days and days ago. So if you're going to need to switch factions so that you have active people to play with, make sure you figure it out early on. And just go ahead and hop on over there and meet all of your new best friends, because you don't want to get stuck for an entire season in a completely dead faction. Alright, that's it for this video. I hope you learned something useful. For those of you that are already in Season 2, let me know what differences you have experienced, or if you're about to head into Season 2, come back and let me know how your first few days went. I'll see you in the next one. Rise of the Phoenix, over and out.